These are your ancestors, and this is the world they live in. It's ruled by pigeon-sized dragonflies, human-sized sea scorpions, and other giant bugs. How did we live? How did we survive? Let's start 425 million years ago. At this time, our relatives were small bony fish and some of the first jawed animals. These oceans are not for us though. They belong to the apex predators, the Eurypterids, predatory sea scorpions, although technically not true scorpions. Some were small like Eurypterus, while others grew to huge lengths like Pterygotus at 5 feet 7 inches long. This was only the start of the age of bugs, which for the sake of this video, we'll scientifically define as arthropods. Around 400 million years ago, we started to develop and advance, growing bigger in size. But so did the arthropods. Enter Jackalopterus, a Eurypterid that reached lengths of 8.5 feet, slightly bigger than the length of a golf cart. It was the biggest arthropod to ever exist. A monumental time will come for us around 380 million years ago. At this point, our relatives were advanced fish with primitive lungs, developed fins, and nostrils. Our ancestors will finally take their first steps on land. This act will forever change the course of history. But we aren't alone. The land has already been conquered 40 million years earlier by none other than bugs. These land-dwelling arthropods were initially small, but still ruled the ground and skies. These included the trigonotarids, primitive arachnids that are relatives of spiders. More advanced forms existed too, such as Arthropods. It had a tail and was able to produce silk, although it isn't a true spider. Our relatives would become at least partially terrestrial around 330 million years ago. They were reptile-like animals with small lengths, which made them perfect for snacking on smaller bugs. But this smaller size was also a death sentence. Oxygen levels during this time have skyrocketed, and along with a lack of predators, terrestrial bugs were able to grow to immense sizes. One example, Pulmonoscorpius. It was a cat-sized scorpion with lengths of 2.4 feet. It also possibly had better eye vision than today's modern scorpions. Around 310 million years ago, things started to change for us though. The key to our survival would show itself. The key that would revolutionize everything is eggs. Let me explain. Previously, our ancestors were forced to lay eggs in the water as their jelly-like eggs would dry out. But by this time, our ancestors would develop the amniotic egg. It has a shell and is dry-out proof, thus could be laid on completely dry land. This will affect us in a massive way in the millions of years to come. At this time, we would also branch out from reptiles and form our own group called the Synapsids. This group would eventually lead to mammals, and at some point, us humans. But as of right now, we were only reptile-looking animals, and the bug situation would become worse. Enter Arthroplura, a giant millipede that grew to 8.2 feet in length and 22 inches in width. It was the biggest land arthropod the world has ever seen. And in the skies, there were giants like Mesothyroids, a relative of dragonflies. It had a wingspan of 22 inches, about the size of a white dove. That size is only rivaled by one of the biggest insects that ever flew, Meganeura. It was likely a carnivore and had a wingspan of 22 inches, the size of a pigeon. Despite looking like a dragonfly, it was a relative and part of a group called the griffinflies. These giant bugs ruled for millions of years to come, but Earth will shift against them. Around 305 million years ago, the climate became more arid and dry. The rainforests and swamps were slowly declining, and so, most importantly, were the oxygen levels. As oxygen levels began dipping, so did bug sizes. The reign of the giant bugs was coming to a close. By 299 million years ago, many giant bug species would go extinct. But as for us, we no longer were helpless animals. Because of our newly developed eggs, we were now able to dominate the land. And at this stage, we synapsids ruled the planet for tens of millions of years to come. It was thanks to our introduction to land, a shift in Earth's climate, and the development of the revolutionary amniotic egg that finally freed us from bug domination.